Sony has released the new 135mm F1.8, and I have to tell you, as a wedding photographer, as a portrait shooter, I am so excited for this release. This lens is producing great results, and we cannot wait to show you.
Yeah, so we're braving the New York cold, but I think it's well worth it because this is a really cool lens. I'm going to tell you all about it, so stay tuned. Should be a lot of fun. So now we are back and I've had a chance to take a look at the images, and I know you guys will too. So we've actually left a link below to be able to download the full resolution RAW and JPEG files from a couple of images from the shoot. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. And then I hope you guys like that sequence as well. There's another one coming up real soon, but that's basically a chance for my wife Sally and I to show you as photographers and videographers first how we actually use these lenses and cameras and everything else we test in real life situations, not just test images, but something really cool and shot and color graded and everything like that, how we would do it in the real life in addition to all the test images. So, I mean, let us know below in the comments if it's something you guys like doing. It takes a little bit of time, but we really enjoy doing it. So let's talk about the obvious. This is a very large lens and it's kind of par for the course here. However, the fact that Sony is making these for a pretty compact mirrorless camera didn't exactly change the game here. In fact, it is actually a little bit longer than the Canon's and Nikon version of the Sigma lens. Now, Sony did point out that it's actually shorter than the Sony version. However, that one kind of houses a built-in adapter for it, so it's a little bit longer because of that. So yes, this is not a small and lightweight lens. However, we are making up for it in quality. I mean, this thing is fully weather sealed. We have 2 customizable buttons here. We have a full aperture control on this thing, and overall the hardware on this thing is amazing. Another plus here is that we're actually getting 2.3 feet as a minimum focusing distance, which is pretty much better than any other 135 on the market. It's only a 0.25 times, so it's nothing like really macro here. However, if you take a look at like an 85, which is a 0.12 times macro effect, this is actually pretty good, and it's nice to be able to get a little bit closer up to our subjects.
So when it comes to the new 135mm lens, Sony is now using multiple linear motors within the lens, which honestly went to near silent shooting and created such great autofocus for us. From a practical sense, there's a lot of heavy glass in this lens, and we were getting focus speeds fast enough to shoot wildlife and sports photography, which isn't typical for the 135mm lenses that are common to other brands.
So I actually didn't expect to do a whole lot of video shooting with this lens, but after putting it on and just seeing some of the results, I mean, they are just beautiful. And I ended up shooting the entire video with a 135. And a couple reasons why. So first of all, there is almost no focus breathing on this lens, which is really unique for non-cinema glass. And what that means is you can pull off shots like this where the frame is not shifting, and virtually no other lens on this, especially longer lenses like this, can pull it off and look this clean. Also, your manual focus is almost linear on this thing. Now, I did personally use autofocus for almost everything and usually do, but if you're a manual focus shooter, this is very good to see that we are almost linear on this. And then the big thing for me is declickable aperture. So this is really cool for having smooth exposure changes and being able to declick that aperture and be able to use this scroll wheel and dial in exactly what you want without those hard stops. obviously the optics on this lens are just beautiful here. So your focus areas are just so full of detail, and then your out of focus areas, your defocused areas just fall off so nicely with beautiful bokeh in the back, and it's just great to see. So if you're a video shooter, this might not seem like your first lens, but I really love shooting with it. Although you do have to keep in mind that with longer lenses like this, you will be fighting rolling shutter as soon as you go off a tripod, and I did find myself dealing with that in those situations.
So when it comes to image quality, you know that every time when you buy a lens, you are looking for how well it comes out. And honestly, with most Sony lenses, and especially this one, we are near perfection. Even at a 100% crop, I was shooting at f1.8 pretty much the entire time because I enjoy low apertures. I'm a wedding photographer. I'm sure you do as well. It was amazingly detailed and sharp. Even corner to corner sharpness was absolutely amazing. Probably just as important as the focused areas is definitely the defocused areas. And honestly, Sony is putting a lot of effort in that area. We have round 11 bladed aperture, and the fallout from this was honestly super beautiful. I didn't see any onion bokeh at all, although it was obviously a little oval at f1.8, but it definitely turned around when we went to f2.8. So we brought along the Sigma 135mm to compare it to the new Sony 135, and honestly, the image quality with the Sony, obviously you're going to get a little bit better, you know, quality and sharpness and detail. And if you're looking for corner to corner sharpness, the Sony did do better. If you're already shooting at a shallow depth of field at f1.8, corner to corner sharpness and those small differences don't really matter to someone like me. So sticking with the Sigma isn't really a problem. Now, if you're looking for the amazing autofocus system that comes within the 135 that you'll get with Sony, then it is a big difference. You cannot beat the fast reliability of their new system. And honestly, it would be an amazing investment for that. So honestly, with this Sony new 135mm, I think it's a great lens, and it is a practical lens for anybody shooting portraits, you know, for photography in weddings. And honestly, I really liked it. I think the focusing was amazing with the new update. I think the image quality was superb. I had no problems with that, and I think it's a great investment. It is quite pricey, but so are other lenses just like this. And you know, you get what you get, and honestly, what you're getting is an amazing lens.
Yeah, it definitely is a crazy awesome lens, and it's pretty rare to talk so much about features in a lens, but honestly, with like declickable aperture and being able to change it and having 2 custom focus buttons, there's just so much to this lens that we don't have in a lot of other things. So you normally don't face as much competition in the lens market as well, but we are dealing with Canon's 135 f2, Sigma's 135 1.4 or 1.8 that are very close in price range to each other, much less than this. I think once we start talking about the focus speeds for this, the optics, I mean, there's no comparison when it comes to quality, and especially when you start getting into your focus speeds. I mean, with the eye autofocus system that's coming in, and just being able to handle quick moving action on this kind of lens is just something that the others are not going to be able to do.
It's hard to beat with Sony. I mean, you have an amazing system that they have come up with. These engineers have worked very hard, and it's a great investment.
Yeah, we appreciate your support, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We got a bunch of really cool videos coming up, so please subscribe and like this video. So excited to share those with you soon.